Okay, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for stopping by um, in order to actually check out what is actually happening here. Now, oh, sorry, this thing is not actually, oh, sorry, okay. Sorry for this little what no disturbance. Actually, I have this update that I want us to actually was an analysis what together. There is a confession here, ladies and gentlemen, about the foiled or the failed or the blocked coup attempt, which actually happened in Burkina Faso. Africans, the patriotic Africans, we actually want this continent of ours to get a complete sovereignty, but it seems some of us we don't want to be free. We want to be captivated. This is what some Africans actually want their lives to remain. They actually choose captivity over a total and a complete literal what we call sovereignty. This is what some yes. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, now I think let me come here with this one. The minister, okay, one of the ministers for Burkina Faso, one of the latest ministers for Burkina Faso has actually came out with some secrets here that we have to analyze them and better understand the situation or how it actually was going to happen, who is actually responsible for everything here, and the confessions included. Okay, so now make sure that you stay with me till the end of this. Okay, now first of all, this is actually the real update here that I actually I want us to share. You can actually see this is the minister here. Okay, so now maybe you have actually come across the updates blah blah here, but there are some that he actually addressed significantly and then into detailed during the press release. Okay, so the coup was plot for it or failed in Burkina Faso. Okay, former leader, that is the Damiba, named as mastermind. That is this is what the minister actually said. Okay, now according to the following details, I have some details here. Okay, the following details were shared in the televised videos made by the Burkina Faso security minister. That is, Mutu Sana. Yes, if I don't actually get it right. Okay, so these are the details that actually wants us to better understand. Okay, so now the first key statement that he actually mentioned in his televised release is this one. He said that the attempted to actually destabilize country was planned on January 3rd. Okay, so on the January 3rd, that was when they actually planned the coup d'etat against Captain Ibrahim Traore. And those of you actually thinking like they actually planned against Captain Ibrahim Traore alone, please, that is actually a huge misconception. Trust me, Captain Ibrahim Traore wasn't the only key member that they actually plan this coup d'etat against, ladies and gentlemen. So they actually plans against a lot of people, even including some civilians. And these key statements are actually going to make sure that they unfold everything here step by step. Okay, now the second key statement that he also mentioned in his television was released by the minister for Burkina Faso is this one. Second, it says that the protest intended to assassinate Ibrahim Traore and several military and civilian officials, disable a drone base, and follow up with a ground military intervention by foreign forces. So this is what they actually did. Okay, so now Captain Ibrahim Traore was actually targeted. Yes, and several military and civilian officials we also targeted. So let's say that those who were actually in favor of Burkina Faso, President Captain Ibrahim Traore, and some of the civilians, okay, these were the people who actually they actually targeted them to make sure that they took them down and of course destabilize the country and seize everything, most especially the power from them. And guess what? Now let's move on to the third key statement. It says that the main actor, the one who is responsible for this action here, is going to be mentioned in the third statement here. So the main actor is Paul Henry, Sandau Damiba. Sorry, okay, that is the former transitional president ousted by Captain Ibrahim Traore on September 30th. Okay, 2022. Okay, so now this man is actually living in an exile in Togo. You understand me? So this man is actually responsible for the recent blocked coup d'etat attempt which actually took place in Burkina Faso. They actually targeted with some civilian and also military officials, including Captain Ibrahim Traore. Yes. So those of us who actually got the misconception that Burkina Faso president was actually alone targeted. True, honestly. Remember that we have a lot of people who actually was backing him. That is why his administration is actually was running smoothly, was now in Burkina Faso. So all of those was officials we also was targeted, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's go to the fourth one here. So the significant portion of the the fourth key statement, it says that a significant portion of the funding came from Cote d'Ivoire, that is Ivory Coast, right? With the latest contribution reportedly amounting to 70 million CFA. 70 million CFA. You understand me? A significant portion of the funding, which means that Cote d'Ivoire, I don't actually want to say that the authorities or the officials of Cote d'Ivoire, they actually founded this because they have not actually made this clear here. Yes, this emphasis here is not actually stating that these persons was involved, whether the president or people, you understand me. But a significant amount of money was actually gotten from Ivory Coast, so to support that particular let's say that dirty and should I call it a non-patriotic, what we call, coup d'etat or development against Captain Ibrahim Traore. Okay, so the next one also is also investigations. Okay, well, according to the minister, he said that investigations and arrests are ongoing. Numerous civilians have also been detained. Remember recently what actually took place in Venezuela. Remember the moment they actually captured or seized the president, okay, the sitting president for Venezuela. Now we also have, we had some footages from other parts of the community, the country, where some civilians, some citizens were jubilating because, they believed that those, the president was actually doing something wrongly. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, that happened to be, a setup. Yes, because they planned everything here. No, because the moment they actually do that, okay, the moment they actually do that, they will televise that, or they will actually show that part to the world, just to convince the world or some people that, look, these people actually was not even in support of the government, which simply means that the government or the president was actually doing something which was actually bad. You understand me? So just to throw more dust into the eyes of the world, ladies and gentlemen. So some civilians were actually paid. They were actually founded to make sure that, no, the moment the coup d'etat actually was not okay successfully, now these people will intentionally go to the streets. You understand me? The virus was no street to protest, and okay, let's say that they are going to jubilate, just to signify, to signal to the world that Burkina Faso President Captain Ibrahim Traore, some military and civilian, let's say that officials were actually doing bad, or they were actually governing the country in a negative way. You understand me? So these were civilians who were also part founded, bribed. Let me say that, okay, bribed. These people, they have actually been detained, and they are doing the investigation. Charlie, I wonder a fellow African can actually pay the price just to make sure that his own soil, his own land is going to be destabilized. Charlie, this is our own land. This is our own space to occupy. And of course, if you actually make this space a very bitter place for you to actually stay, Donald Trump, okay, His Excellency, that is the American president, he will never allow you to go and occupy this space which belongs to him and his people, ladies and gentlemen. So if Donald Trump is actually sacking some Africans, deporting some Africans, we have to make sure that we take advantage of this and make sure that we build our own continent for it to become a comfortable and a business lucrative place for us to actually stay here, ladies and gentlemen. You understand me? So these civilians, I wonder why these people actually allowed themselves for them to be founded, for them to be bribed, so that they could actually stand against the sovereignty of Burkina Faso. And of course, if you actually stand against the sovereignty of Burkina Faso, you are not actually limiting it to a single country, but to the AES. And once it actually affects the AES community, it affects Africa, because these people, most especially Burkina Faso, actually happen to be the most progressive. Let's say that it's happening to be the most progressive revolutionary revolution in Africa. True of us. You know this. You understand me? So I wonder why even the common civilian, this is how some top politicians, they misuse the poor daughters and sons to gain whatever they actually want. And by the end of the day, they call you a fool. The money that they actually loot from Africa, they take the money, go to Europe and other to developed countries and make sure that they build something for themselves and for their descendants. And you, who helped them initiated, who helped them executed those plans, you are going to be left behind. And trust me, even when you do something, non-constitutionally, they are still going to be jailed. So the best way for you to actually to make sure that you practice, patriotism within this continent is to make sure that you stand against any development which is going to destabilize a government, which is, providing or doing everything to make sure that it will meet the needs of the people. Look at what these 8 years leaders are doing. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Look at what the leaders are actually doing. Look at how they actually putting Africa on the map. Look at how they actually showing how they're showing the power, the dignity, the perseverance, the spirit of West Africa to the world, ladies and gentlemen. So some civilians allowed themselves to be bribed, and by the end of the day, even if they give you millions of dollars, let's say that you are 5th, you are 4th, you are 7th, you are 8th the descendants, I don't think that that million those $1 million are actually going to cover their lifestyles or their future. Let me put it that way, ladies and gentlemen. So let us come together. Let us actually have a unison voice. Let us actually get the same energy and enterprising spirit that we can actually use to stand against any forces, any powers that will simply come and destabilize the sovereignty of Africa. I don't understand. Now, I always say that, look, no matter how best your country, an African leader is, no matter how intelligent an African leader is, he can never actually convince an American to stand against Donald Trump or an American sovereignty. True or false? Who? In Africa. You can't go to America, you can't go to Europe and bribe a citizen, a civilian, for him to do something against his own continent or nation in order to benefit or to build Africa. Never. You can't convince them. How can you convince them? But every single day they keep on convincing Africans for us to actually rise against one another, rise against our leaders. Trust me, if I actually take down Burkina Faso, president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, ladies and gentlemen, you are not, you're not just fighting Ibrahim Traoré. You are fighting the country, you are fighting the AES bloc, and of course you are fighting Africa. That is what you're doing. And you are fighting the future of our next generations, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Africa, we are rich in soil, we are rich in resources, we are rich in minerals. But the truth is that we are poor. We are the poorest in the pockets because of we, the civilians, some of us, we are supporting these developments that are actually taking us backwards. Africa is the only continent that doesn't actually need to pray to God to give us what we should actually leverage on, what we should actually capitalize ourselves on, because God has actually, of course, equipped us with everything that we need to succeed. What it takes for Africans to succeed, we have them, but just that we have actually been mentally colonized. Mental colonization. We have actually been colonized mentally. So they can actually just give you some dollars, give you some millions, and will tell you do this and do that. And you get the energy, the effrontery, the audacity. And you see how, passionately fellow Africans are actually doing it, thinking they actually destabilizing the government, or they're actually trying to bring down so much fame. Ibrahim Traoré, Assimi Goïta, and Abdulrahman Tiani, these people are not actually trying to gain, they're not trying to make any gains for themselves. But they are trying to make sure that an African sovereignty is protected. They are trying to make sure that Africans, we are also going to treat it on the global space equally. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes and yes. Look at America. I think America is consists of from 52 to 54 countries, right? Different countries. That is why we call them United States of America, right? Look at how powerful they are. Recently, they actually went to Venezuela. They see a main president, a sitting president. Look at how powerful they are. Without unity amongst these people or those countries, they were nothing. They were once colonized before. They were once enslaved. But the moment they actually came together and rose against powers that actually were going in different directions against their sovereignty. Look at where they have actually got into. America. You just want to get up and go there, and you're looking for, or you're seeking for, let's say, a menial job to do. Meanwhile, we have the best in the world in Africa. But just that, some of us, the way we think, the way we see ourselves, the way we see our continent. Chamai, Africa, okay? Africa is the heaven on earth. But we need leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traoré. We need leaders like Abdul Rahman Tiani. We need leaders like, Assimi Goïta. You understand me? We need such leaders who are standing for the interest of the people and for the prosperity of the people. I love Donald Trump so much because this man, when he's protecting the needs of his people, he's actually going to do it passionately. And once he says something, he does it. True or false? Previously, he actually promised the public that, or the world that, he was actually going to seize the president of Venezuela. And nobody believed it. And finally, this man has actually done it. And according to him, now, US is actually going to make sure that they run Venezuela more than 1 year, ladies and gentlemen. And this more than 1 year, guess what? They're actually going to make sure they monopolize the resources, most especially the oils, the crude oils of the states. Yes, they are going to monopolize every single thing. And according to Donald Trump, the profit that they're actually going to make, now, they will make sure that they will sell the crude oil of Venezuela to United States, like to themselves. You understand me? United States of America. So US just want to buy the oil. And the benefits, the profit, the money that they will actually make from that, they will use that money to also benefit both United States of America and, of course, Venezuela. Have you seen it? Meanwhile, this particular crude oil is never actually, the right owner is the Venezuelans. You understand me, ladies and gentlemen, not the Americans. But look at what they actually saying, ladies and gentlemen. So Africa, we need to come together. We have to come together. Stop praying to God. Recently I saw one particular video circulating on the internet where some church members here in Ghana, they actually went to their pastors, their prophets, whatever, his church auditorium to pack sons. And those sons, they believe 100% that those sons, if they actually use the sun is going to work magic for them to actually become rich and whatever. Don't stop practicing such things. The right things that we have to do, we are actually marginalizing them, and we are using even ways that are not actually working normally. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I think and I be like, what is wrong with Africans? Charlie, something is wrong with us. Christianity is a good thing. I'm not actually condemning it. Christianity is good, but always put it at the back of your mind that those who brought us Christianity those days, since those days, those who brought us with Christianity, they are actually practicing Christianity in a diplomatic manner. They are practicing it in the best manner. And these people are actually doing their best. They go after their interest. Yes. Africans, we have to start valuing every single thing that God has actually given to us. This can really help us to make a lot of progress in this world. Let us capitalize on what we have. African players, they have actually been, let me say that, they have actually, look at some great African players are somewhere playing football for France and other developed countries. Meanwhile, their mother lands, their own countries are even suffering to even get to win for an African cap, which simply means that every potential in this continent of Africa, in this space of the continent of Africa, these people are actually willing to extract it. They want to keep on monopolizing this Africa in such a way that we can remain impoverished whilst they keep on progressing, using our own potentials, our own whatever, our pride, our I don't know, our mineral resources, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get up, and this is the best time that Africa, we can actually come together and make sure that we do the best. We are not actually not doing the best for ourselves alone, but we are doing the best for ourselves now. We are doing the best for the descendants of ours tomorrow. We are doing the best for the future of Africa. Yes. So that one day after your death, and when you are being reincarnated by the grace of God in a different form, you can simply come back and of course benefit. African leaders, even if you don't know anything, learn from the AES state leaders. Don't just leverage on your pride, your arrogance, your sophisticated attitude. Learn from them. They are doing the right thing. They just came less than a decade, and of course the kind of development, the kind of work that these people actually doing for the people within the AES